Well, good morning everyone. We'll make a start to the press conference. My name is Mike Woodcock and I'm the Director of Communications with the RNA. I'd like to welcome you to the 2019 Founding Partners Press Conference for the Latin America Amateur Championship. I'll start by introducing our panel this morning. To my immediate left is Mr. Fred Ridley, the Chairman of the Masters Tournament. In the centre is Mr. Martin Slumbers, the Chief Executive of the RNA. And on the far side is Mr. Mike Davis, the CEO of the USGA. I'd now like to hand over to Mr. Slumbers to give a few opening remarks and make an important announcement.
Good morning everyone, and thank you Mike. On behalf of the RNA, the Masters Tournament and the USGA, I'd like to welcome you to the 2019 Latin America Amateur Championship. It's great to see so many of you here today, and we appreciate your commitment and support for the event, particularly as many of you will have travelled long distances to be here. You all play an important role in telling the story of this week, and this is the 5th staging of the championship, and we will do everything we can to assist you to tell that story. As someone who's based in Scotland, I don't need to tell you how much of a pleasure it is to be here in the stunning and warm surroundings of Casa de Campo in mid-January. The Teeth of the Dog will provide an outstanding test of golf for the players, and we can all enjoy the beauty and generous hospitality of this very special place. In the 3 years since we were last here, a number of improvements have been made, including the opening of the new state-of-the-art golf academy, which I would urge you all to go and see. Before I hand back to Mike to take some questions, I would like to make an important announcement regarding the venue for the 2020 championship. We have been fortunate to visit some tremendous golf courses since this event was inaugurated in 2015, and next year will be no different. It is my privilege to announce that the 2020 Latin America Amateur Championship will be played at Mayakoba on Mexico's splendid Riviera Maya. I'm sure you'll join with me in congratulating the representatives of Mayakoba who have joined us today. And we can all look forward to seeing the region's top players competing at this renowned championship venue. So back to this week, we look forward to a fantastic championship where these talented players hopefully can show us how good they are. I need hardly remind you of the tremendous incentives on offer for the player who lifts the LAAC trophy here on Sunday. It's genuinely a life-changing opportunity, and we only have to look at the achievements of last year's champion, Joachim Niemann, to appreciate how much of a springboard this event can be. We would all love to see more players from this region following in his footsteps. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful week. And I'll return it to Mike.
Thank you, Martin. We'll now take some questions from the floor. Obviously, we have a busy room today, so if you can raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you and we'll take the questions from there. So I think the first question on the right-hand side, please.
Hi, good morning. Welcome back to the Dominican Republic. Mr. Ridley, why is it so important for the LAAC have an invitation to the Masters Tournament? ¿Por qué es tan importante para el LAAC otorgar una invitación al torneo de Masters?
Well, thank you for that question, because it raises an issue that's very near and dear to my heart as a lifelong amateur golfer. As all of you know, our co-founder Bobby Jones was the greatest amateur of all time, and to be able to recognize the winner of this event by an invitation to the Masters, I think speaks a lot about the culture of Augusta National and the Masters tournament and how important amateur golf and amateur golfers are to our tournament. We also hope that it adds a bit of prestige to this event, and it certainly indicates how we feel about the importance of golf in this region that ranks with the other regions of the world, including our country and the United States. So we look forward to continuing that tradition are very excited about the winner of the tournament this week at Casa de Campo being in Augusta for the next Masters tournament.
Thank you.
The next question in the center here, can we get a microphone?
Hello.
So,
This question is for Mr. Slumbers.
okay.
How was the election of Mexico? Why Mexico, Mr. Slumbers?
So the three of us, our colleagues at the USGA and the Masters tournament, we are completely committed to making sure that we take this championship around the region. And we want to cover all parts of the region. It's a big area. And when you look at what we are trying to achieve in terms of the tournament and the status of the tournament, the requirements for the golf course, the infrastructure, the facilities around it, it was a very simple decision to say that Mayakoba is the right place to go at the right time. It finishes off all the areas of the region for this championship in what will be its 6th year. And it is a golf course and an infrastructure that will stage this tournament in a very grand fashion. So it sort of comes together in that way.
Okay, next question on the right hand side, please.
Sí, es una pregunta para Mac Davis de Fox Sports, Sudamérica y Latinoamérica, y tiene que ver con la evaluación de estos 5 años del Latin America Championship.
This is a question for Mr. Davis. How would you evaluate the last 5 years of this Latin American Amateur Championship?
You know, I think when we started this, it was about growing the game in Latin America, and the three organizations, the founding partners, have talked about this, and I'm not sure anybody would have foreseen the championship becoming this popular this quickly. And you know, it is not only to conduct an elite championship for the best players in Latin America, but it really is to inspire the game in this region. And we do believe having all three organizations who conduct events, there is that byproduct of what it does for the game of golf and how it can grow and how it can inspire. And you know, as we said, you think about some of Latin America's greatest players, the likes of Roberto Di Vincenzo, Angel Cabrera. You know, I know at the USGA we've had 5 Latin America females win USGA championships over the years, and we're convinced that does a lot of good things for the game. So, in short, we couldn't be happier with where it is, and we continue to think this is only going to get better in years to come.
Next question in the center, please.
Good morning, my name is Julio Liceri, I'm a journalist from newspaper El Observador de Uruguay. My question is for Martin Slumbers. Ya hay una invitación del Master Tournament para el campeón del Latin American Amateur Championship. Pasaron 4 ediciones. ¿Hay una posibilidad en un futuro cercano de que el Open dé una invitación al campeón del LAAC?
This is a question for Mr. Slumbers. The winner of the Latin American Amateur Championship receives an invitation into the Masters. Is there a chance that in the coming future you will also give an invitation to the winner to the Open Championship?
We look very carefully at the exemptions into the Open Championship. We pride the Open on being very broadly very broad in terms of its field. We run qualifying events all the way around the world, so we're very conscious on how the qualifying works, and we're very conscious on the exemptions. There is no doubt in my mind that as the field here continues to develop and deepen and get better and better, that makes it more and more likely that will become reality in the future. And in Asia Pacific, we did last year, we switched in its 9th year, coming into its 10th year, we did offer the exemption for the winner into the Open. So I suppose my challenge to the players here is keep getting the field deeper, keep getting better, and make it very hard for us not to give it an exemption.
Next question, John, back left, please.
Yes, John Suckler from ESPN. For Mike Davis, what does it mean to have this tournament in Mexico for the USGA, taking into account that both countries work under the same rules of the USGA, and so much work has been done in the past years with the Mexican Federation and the USGA.
Well, John, good question. We do work very closely with the Mexican Golf Federation, and I'll start out by saying, with respect to Mayakoba and that where we'll be heading next year, we had a wonderful, absolutely wonderful 2016 World Amateur Team Championships, both men and women, that was hosted there. The golf courses performed beautifully. The resort did an outstanding job. And the Mexican Golf Federation was just, the conduct and the attention to detail was outstanding. So, but with respect to how we work with them, they're a great partner. As an example, the changes to the rules of golf, which now are in place, the Federation has been a big part of educating in Mexico. I know that we are teaching a joint workshop in Miami, Florida, that's all Spanish, that the Federation is helping us with. So there is wonderful collaboration between the two organizations, and we look forward to that continuing for many years to come.
Next question from the front, please.
Hi, Jose Pagud from Grupo Imagen. Did the fact, to whomever wants to answer, did the fact of having 4 Mexican players in the PGA Tour, Gaby Lopez, LPGA, I mean, a great 2018 for Mexican golf, did that fact play any, in your choice of making Mexico the next venue?
Martin, would you like to, or Mr. Ridley?
Well, I think certainly the success that has been experienced in Mexico, and in particular the venue of Mayakoba, is a positive factor, but our executive committee takes into consideration many factors when considering possible venues, and it's our intention and our stated intention to move the championship around the Latin America region. There's certainly important considerations. I think the safety and security of everyone involved is paramount, and then having a venue of significance to challenge the golfers certainly is important. And we're very pleased that we have that this week, and looking forward to that next year. And then I think also the support of the local community and the local federation, the governing federation, is very important. And all those factors certainly were positive in the case of Mexico, and so we're very excited to be there in 2020.
Yeah, John, back left, please.
For any of you gentlemen, I'm just curious about the reversal of the nines and the thinking behind changing the course a little bit in that way, and what you hope that brings to the championship this time around.
Sure. So first of all, you start with the idea that this is one of the world's great golf courses, a Pete Dye design on just a marvelous piece of property. I'm not sure you could go wrong with the routing. Having said that, the thought between the three organizations was that there were more ocean holes on the normal front nine than the back nine. So there's 4 versus 3, and that played a big part of it. Just, we broadcast the back nine of this championship and more water holes coming down the stretch. There's 2 really neat par 3s that can be varied in distance and obviously different hole locations. And then finally, the normal 9th hole, which will be championship 18, is a reachable par 5. And I think all 3 organizations felt that perhaps coming down the stretch, this would offer a very exciting finish with a possible birdie or maybe even an eagle. So that was the rationale.
Bien, William Aish, editor deportivo del Nuevo Diario. ¿Qué tan importante para ustedes es el país, tomando en cuenta que en 5 años el LAAC 2 veces ha regresado a República Dominicana, ha venido a República Dominicana, es la primera, y la segunda es la valoración de ustedes sobre la Federación Dominicana de Golf?
Yes, I would like to know how important is the Dominican Republic in your choice of as a venue for the Latin American Amateur Championship, since you've come here twice, and what is your relationship with the Dominican Federation at the moment?
I think we've said many times that what we're trying to do with the LAAC is put on a world-class championship and to give these young men a tremendous opportunity to perform on a grand stage. And putting that all together, it's more than just the golf course. The golf course needs to be the star of the show, and we mustn't forget we're running a golf championship, and we want the golf course to be the star. And, Mike made the comment, this is truly a world-class golf course in however you want to define that. And Casa de Campo as infrastructure gives all the balance around that we think is important to that world-class feeling. And for me, coming here, it was my first year at the RNA when we came here, and it felt like driving in here on Sunday night felt like coming home. And it's a lovely place, it's a gorgeous place, and it fits our concept of how we want the LAAC. And we're honoured that Casa de Campo wants to host again. We think coming here to the Dominican Republic is a great way of showcasing this wonderful country, and it gives us all the capabilities and all the facilities to put on that world-class golf event that the three of us aspire to.
Next question from back in the centre.
Hi, Mr. Slumbers here. I understand the RNA is running several programs through Latin America for the development of golf. What do you pursue with this? How is it going, and what are the results already?
We when you look at what are we trying to do as an organisation around the world, is ensure that golf is thriving 50 years from now. That's really what drives us. Not just so much what's happening today, but where is the game going? And we've been working in Latin America for many years, and when we think about it in terms of the next 50 years, the opportunity for the game to grow in this region is huge. But to make that reality, you need to have the whole pyramid of the game, from grassroots in schools with children learning to play the game, through clubs, through public facilities, through places that are easily accessible, right up to the elite event. And the RNA is very humbled by the fact that the Masters Tournament and the USGA partner with us, and we partner with them to create the LAAC. And I think what we do is put that real cherry on top of the cake, which is the top of that pyramid. Fred describes it as one of the top amateur events in the world, and I completely agree with him. And that hopefully creates the inspiration down through the pyramid, and hopefully we'll get some more children coming through and playing the game and wanting to come here in 10 years or so. So that it's a tremendous opportunity for us, but we are very humbled to be able to put that together and work with all these tremendous federations in the region to make it a reality.
Okay, next question, front left, please.
Good morning. Mi nombre es Aquiles Ramírez, Color Visión Deportes SI en la República Dominicana como local. Mi pregunta va al señor Slumbers. La evaluación del impacto en el nivel de los jugadores en estas 4 ediciones previas que ya han tenido campeones, 3 chilenos, un costarricense, ¿cómo se ha podido evaluar el nivel en los países que ha visitado de los jugadores luego de que el LAAC haya sido jugado en ese país?
This is a question for Mr. Slumbers. I would like to know if you have been able to evaluate the impact that the LAAC has had on the countries where the champion was, for example, 3 times Chile and 1 time Costa Rica. If you have been able to assess the situation after you had a winner in that country.
That's a brilliant question, and a really tough question to answer. I think when you look at Chile, 3 out of 4 winners. People around the world, and the 3 of us are very fortunate that we do travel around the world and love golf and talk golf, and you hear that being talked about. Joaquin Niemann is a superstar, and the way he played last year, at the end of the day, I'm a golf fan, and he had my spine tingling how he played that back 9 on Sunday. and I watch with hope and expectation to see him develop. I think we are seeing grassroots growing. I think what the region really needs to really get going is more public facilities, more open and accessible facilities for young children to learn. And I think we are working with all the federations to try and make that happen. And I think if we can do that, this championship will help be part of that catalyst. And if one of those winners goes on and wins one of our championships in the coming years, I'm sure that will really get the game going in this region.
Next question, left-hand side at the back there. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Nick Menta, golfchannel.com. 2 questions. First for Chairman Ridley. We've seen 2 weeks now of the new rules of golf and how they've impacted professional play. Will there be any local rules instituted at this year's Masters? Specifically, will players be allowed to putt with the pins in during Masters Week?
Well, first, I would like to commend the governing bodies for undertaking this really very complex project over the past several years, and the end result of the new rules that were effective January 1 were certainly a collaborative effort, and one that sought and received the input from numerous stakeholders around the world. So thank you, Martin and Mike, and your organizations for undertaking that difficult project. We will, as we always do, we will collaborate with the governing bodies, talk about those rules, those local rules and conditions that will be implemented. We think it's important that there be some consistency in top championship golf, and so you should expect that the Masters tournament, from a rules perspective, will look very much, if not the same, as what you're seeing in the major championships and the professional tours.
The second question from Mr. Davis. With respect to the Lucy Lee situation, I understand that the USGA is in a sort of a fact-finding mode. What does that investigation entail? What facts are you hoping to uncover? And then what's the timeline for that decision, especially with the Augusta Women's Amateur on the horizon?
Sure, well, you're exactly right. Relative to a possible breach of the amateur status code by Lucy Lee, that's exactly what we're in, a fact-finding mode. And it's simply that. It's to learn more about what happened. And beyond that, I can't really at this time give you any more details. In terms of a timeline, I think that it is when we complete really the fact-finding part of this, then our amateur status committee will meet and they'll render a decision. I mean, there may have been a breach, there may have not been a breach. There could be a breach where you lose your amateur status code, and there's precedent on this. So I would just say we're in that fact-finding mode, and then you'll eventually learn once a decision's rendered.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions briefly. So first one on the left here, please.
Thank you. Fernando from Golf Channel Latin America. To the chairman of Augusta National, if you can share with us some details on the Augusta National Women's Amateur, the idea behind, and what are you expecting from that?
Sure. I think when you look at what's taken place over the last decade in some of the what we call the Grow the Game efforts in the Asia Pacific region here in Latin America, and I mean the success of this event certainly has many proof points, if you will. One of them is all of you sitting in this room today. I mean, I think this is the largest turnout of the media that I can certainly remember in this championship, and that's very important, so thank you very much for being here. But we've been very excited about the outcomes of the Grow the Game efforts. I mentioned the 2 international championships, but also the drive, chip, and putt that we have at Augusta National right before the Masters. And so we felt that the women's game was such an important segment of the sport that it was really, the time was right to do something to really, promote that aspect of the game and do it in a way that was significant. We felt that our mission at Augusta National, the Masters Tournament, was certainly consistent with that. If you go back to our founders, Clifford Roberts and Bobby Jones, they believed that Augusta National had and has an obligation to promote and support the game by giving back. You know, their way of doing that was starting the Masters Tournament in 1934. But the club has a history and a culture of working with others to give back to the game. And so with that preface, you know, I would just say that we are unbelievably excited about the upcoming Augusta National Women's Amateur. The invitations went out a couple weeks ago, and it's been fun watching the competitors, you know, post their pictures of their invitations on social media. So there's a lot of excitement building. We're very fortunate in that our partners at the Masters Tournament have indicated they want to be a part of that. So we're very fortunate.